Hi, I'm Wez Clarke, a mix engineer from England. We're in my studio just outside London.
And my name is Christian. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Masterchannel, a company that over the past year has worked with Wez on cloning his sound and expertise into what is now known as Wez Clarke AI. So now it's been almost 1 year since we launched the Wez Clarke AI, and the reception has been much better than I think both of us anticipated in the beginning.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, the numbers blow my mind, to be honest. 65,000, I think it's up to individual songs, and counting probably more by the time this is finished. But yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. And something that I always think is really cool is because in the music industry, numbers is one thing. You have people racking up billions of streams online. But what really means a lot to me, and also see that on your end, is people actually telling you about the songs they have done with the Wez Clarke AI through Instagram or email or other forms of communication.
Yeah, it's always amazing when people reach out to compliment the AI, and a lot of people are saying, you know, it's the best sounding one they've used, which is amazing to hear. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, but what I thought could be interesting to dive a bit into is because half a year before we launched the Wez Clarke AI, me and my co-founder and CTO Simon reached out to you and your manager Hannah. What was your first impression when we did that? Because for us it was kind of a shot in the dark.
Yeah, we didn't know what to expect, to be honest. But after speaking to you guys, we were pretty much sold. You know, we could feel your passion for what you were doing, and yeah, the trust was there instantly, I think.
Yeah. But before we started working together, this whole idea actually came from one of your friends, Dan Stein, which most of you probably know more of as DJ Fresh, one of the pioneers within the drum and bass genre. Because with Dan, I met him through LinkedIn, of all places. And we started talking about how everything was changing when it comes to voice cloning. And that really sparked the idea of, okay, you have the ability to clone voices for famous singers. Why can't you do the same for engineers? And that was how everything started and why we got introduced in the first place.
Exactly, yeah. It was literally right place, right time. I was having dinner with Dan just randomly, and he literally just said, "Oh, you should talk to these guys." I was like, okay, I mean, yeah, why not? And then we had a conversation, and it kind of all flowed from there.
Yeah, and we didn't really know where it was heading.
No.
Especially when it came to how you were supposed to work with us, or mainly Simon, who is our head engineer and also main mastering engineer here at Masterchannel.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly that. And then Simon was great from the very beginning. He made it a simple process for me, because obviously I'm not technical on the AI side of things. So yeah, he made it quite simple. I just sort of sent over quite a lot of mix stems from my finished mixes, which sort of shows what I've done and the process that I used. And he basically made the clone from that. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but something I think could be interesting to highlight is because when launching this, and also before this, we had some conversation about what would this mean for engineers, especially human engineers. What were you thinking in the beginning, when it comes to this AI taking over the engineering situation?
We did have long conversations, me and my manager Hannah, about that kind of thing, whether it be backlash and people worrying, but I think in the end, it's inevitable. AI is here. We can't make it go away now. It's the way things will go. And I think it's important to embrace it, especially with companies like yourself who are doing it ethically, doing it in the right way, not just money grabbing, creating a sort of substandard product. You're creating something really quite special. And I feel like that's important to get involved in and do it properly like that,
Yeah, because that was also very important for us, that we did it the right way, and especially you coming from the more traditional music side, being first a DJ and then a producer and then a mixing engineer, and us coming from the AI side with, obviously we created music ourselves, but none of us have been famous producers. So we wanted to bridge the gap between the traditional industry and new technologies, which I feel like we managed to do in a pretty good way, both when it comes to the technology itself, but also the business model that both of us are actually earning from it, compared to a lot of AI services where they are taking everything from the music industry and not giving anything back.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, no, it just all seemed to sort of make sense. And eventually, this will be the norm. So it's somebody has to do it first, and I was happy to be the the guinea pig.
Yeah, and that's also cool to see now that we have done this for almost a year. We're 11 months in, and as you mentioned, like 65,000 individual song has actually been mastered through this. We helped a lot of artists from all over the world, and also have a lot of songs now that has been released with the Wez Clarke AI.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. The figures are impressive, and it's just nice to know that people are learning from this as well. They're sort of hearing what they're putting into the system and hearing what comes out, and it sort of pushes you to mix better next time, and the next song you'd be like, oh, it did that to that, I know what to do next, make the bass drum a bit louder or anything like that. So it's a good learning tool as well as just a mastering tool. It's useful.
Yeah, would you say it's similar to how you learned how to engineer in the beginning?
Yeah, basically from trial and error. That's how I learned, just from making mistakes. And yeah, exactly that. You're putting stuff in, you're hearing the outcome, and you're thinking, oh, I need to fix that on my next mix. I can do that. So yeah, you're learning from your mistakes, which is, I think, the best way to learn.
Yeah,
I've made every mistake.
Yeah, and have people that they have the agency of what the outcome is, because as the service is working, or how it is working, that you put something in and you get something back. If you don't like it, then you don't have to pay anything, but you can go back and fix, because
that's right.
we provide some
go back and
feedback.
Tweak. Yeah. Change some things in the mix, and then come back and try it again until you're happy, and then.
So I think we managed to create a pretty good balance there with them having agency while we fix a lot of the errors that especially beginners and intermediate artists often encounter, because of they don't have the equipment or they need to make.
Don't have the equipment, and also they don't necessarily have the confidence to finish something or believe that they've had the finished product. It's nice to have someone else do a seal of approval. I still do that. I still send some of my stuff to mastering. It's just an extra set of ears.
But how have you been building up your confidence when it comes to what is good audio, since it's such a subjective matter?
I think my confidence came from gradual success, having records out. I sat and listened to a lot of music in my teens. I drove my mum crazy. But, I always knew that what I was doing, I was soaking it all up. You just, eventually you start having successful records, and you gain confidence from that. You believe, oh, people must like my sound because people are buying these records. And then I also, when I was coming up, I was quite blinkered as well. I didn't really check social media or anything like that, and it wasn't even really a thing. So I was quite blinkered. I just got on with it.
And I think you're touching into something important there, because what we see in today's industry is that a lot of people compare their songs to other songs, and obviously that can be good, but it can also be at least from my perspective as a music producer myself, a rabbit hole that you will never get out of.
Yeah, 100%. I think having confidence in your music is extremely important. At the end of the day, it's your song. You need to be happy with it. And a lot of people, they're sort of comparing with songs in the charts. And they're like, oh, why is it not as loud or as polished as that? Which is where the Masterchannel AI comes in. It steps in and sort of gets them to that level quite easily.
Yeah, because that's something that we had in mind when we created this together, that it should be something that elevates the sound while making it should be their sound still.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be just a filter.
Yeah, which is where it has that sort of human element to it, where it only fixes what needs fixing, which is exactly what I do when I'm mixing records. I don't want to change the sound too much because the artist is happy with the general sound of it. So I just want to fix what needs fixing, and the AI does exactly that.
Yeah. But talking about the human element, what was important for you when you started working with us on creating the Wez Clarke AI?
Yeah, I mean, some of the early, we went through a few stages in development. Some of the early ones didn't quite have the bottom end of my mixes, and I wanted them to sort of match my loudness as well, to a certain degree. And some of the saturation on the top end and things like that were important to me, just because that's like my signature sound. So we worked quite hard on mimicking that in the AI environment. Which is difficult because they're sort of things that I just do naturally when I get a mix. I know where to push the kick drum and the bass. Just from feel. So to model that is it's not easy.
Yeah, because something that we have learned along the way after mastering 65,000 songs with the Wez Clarke AI is that loudness is something that it's hard for the average artist to truly understand.
I mean it is a difficult area. It's a grey area. The loudness thing, knowing how it will translate onto streaming platforms or on radio. It's a difficult area. So this is why it's nice to have something like the AI to sort of take that worry off of your hands, and it's one less thing to worry about when you're making music.
Yeah, because what would you say is important to think about when it comes to loudness?
Just basically, you don't want to be loud at the detriment of your music. You don't want to just be loud for being loud's sake. You want your music to breathe. You want it to sound as good as it can. Loudness is kind of takes a backseat, in my opinion.
Yeah, but since we have seen so much usage over the past year, one thing that has been important for us to actually fix and to solve is the problems that users have. Like EQ balance, like loudness, and that sounds good on different speakers. How is that different from or similar to you being an engineer yourself?
Yeah, it's always important. Obviously, with the way things are now, people listen to music on their phones a lot. So it's really important for music to sound good on tiny speakers as well as big speakers, because obviously nightclubs, I kind of grew up DJing, so nightclubs are really important for me still. Yeah. My mixes are quite bass heavy, and the kick drums are generally louder than you'd imagine. That's one thing I learned from years of DJing. Kick drums have to be a lot louder than when you're in the studio, you put it to a certain level, but when you play it in a club, it's just, it doesn't work. It needs to really punch. So things like that, they're just things that you learn over years, and it's good to have that, a sort of straight in with the AI. It sort of helps with that thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I messed that up at the end.
But when we talk about getting that experience or that confidence, what has your process been in becoming that confident on understanding how it sounds on different systems?
Yeah, I mean, it's just years of working on something, going to a nightclub, playing it, realizing it sounds terrible, going back to the studio. Years ago, I used to use Ministry of Sound. My studio was just down the road, and I used to go there and use the sound system to test tracks. And it's amazing what you learn from these big sound systems.
Yeah.
About space in your mix, clarity, the kick drum, the power, and overall volume. It's just years of experience. It's the only way to learn these things. So it's amazing to have a shortcut.
Yeah, like Masterchannel.
Exactly.
And what we managed to do there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're going to look at what was the most important part for you when we created the Wez Clarke AI, would you say those parts, like that it translates well onto different speaker systems, being one of the main things that was important for you as an engineer?
Definitely, yeah. Translating onto all platforms, all speakers is so important, and there's various tricks for making things translate onto smaller speakers, using distortion, saturation, and harmonics. Lots of tricks that they're not obvious, they're not straightforward. So yeah.
Yeah, and the things you're mentioning there are probably based on the tens of thousands of artists that we are working with at Masterchannel. Something that a lot of them don't necessarily know that well, or they might not even have heard about it, the way that music is produced today.
Exactly, and even if they have, I mean, it's just knowing where to use these things and how much to use, how much distortion. It's not straightforward.
But what I get from you, like based on your experience and how we have worked together over the past year, is that in the end, it comes down to testing things out, testing out how it sounds on different speaker system or how it sounds 100%. On your music.
Yeah. It's so important to test music out. This is why people go and listen to music in their cars. They go outside, they do the car test. Because not everybody's got access to amazing monitors. That's the thing as well. So testing it on headphones, testing it on your iPhone, on anything you can. I use this little tiny speaker behind me, I don't know if you can see it.
Which is a radio.
It's a bedside radio, literally. Yeah. A rubbish one as well.
Yeah.
But I love it. I've had it for 20 years or something. So I know it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the NS10s as well. Obviously, I've had those since I was 17. So a long time.
But coming to your studio now we're hanging for a day and listen to a lot of music. It's really cool to see all the gear that you have here with the different compressors, limiters, and the whole studio rack behind me here. But is it important for artists when starting out to have all this kind of gears?
No, it's not. It's not important, to be honest. I've mixed some of my biggest records, including the one I won a Grammy for, in the box.
Yeah.
I didn't have all this gear, but it makes it more enjoyable. But obviously, it's a luxury.
Yeah.
And it brings maybe the final 1 or 2% of analog sound to the table, which you can't quite get from the computer. But you definitely don't need it. I made some big records in the box, and previously I produced some amazing sounding records on an Atari ST.
Yeah.
So it's more about your ears and your ability, your confidence, like we keep saying. Just be confident in your sound. And if you're unconfident about a certain aspect of your music, then this is where you use different tools to fix that.
Yeah, and that you listen to enough music and actually produce enough music so you can build up confidence in your own sound and understand what do I like to produce, and not just follow what is out there.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a lot of people these days that seem to make one song.
Yeah.
I think, oh yeah, I've made a song. I made probably 100 songs before I played anything to anyone. You know, it takes hours to perfect your skill, really.
Yeah.
Thousands of hours.
Yeah. and I find that fascinating because there are, as you mentioned, there are so many artists that has one song and then they're gone.
Yeah.
But then you have these artists that are defining genres.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that, and they probably enjoyed that process also after the point that they defined that genre, but just making music in their own bedroom because they liked what they created. Exactly. And it was something that meant something to them, even though it didn't make them superstars or filthy rich.
No, exactly. And I think that's the most important thing, to do what you love, to make music that you love. I mean, some of my early music, I used to play to people and they said, don't ever play me that again. But I was like, you know, I liked it.
Yeah.
And that's all that mattered at the time, you know. And then eventually you find your sound, and then if you're lucky, other people will like it.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't force it, really. You know, if you force it, people can hear.
But if you don't make any music, then people won't listen to it. So
exactly. Yeah.
You need to produce
exactly as much music as you possibly can. Just make as many mistakes as you can. That's the key to perfecting anything. Yeah.
Yeah, because producing music and having a lot of fun creating music, that's, at least for me, and I see that for a lot of the artists that we work with, that's the most important part when making songs.
100%. Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, making music, that's all it's really about. You know, listening to music should be fun, making music should be fun, dancing to it. And yeah, if you know, if you're stressing about, you know, oh, it doesn't sound as loud or it doesn't sound as good as commercial records, then it's not going to be as fun. So this is where it's, you know, it's nice to have you know, a sort of backup with the AI.
Yeah. And that's what we had in mind also when creating this together, that artists should focus on what is fun, like the creative parts, and let us or let the Wez Clarke AI handle all the technical details. Exactly,
which is the whole point in my job in the first place as a mix engineer. It's to take the stress out of you know the artists and the producers' lives, so they can rely on somebody to make it sound good
and actually finish the track.
Exactly.
So it doesn't end up in the graveyard of songs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which every artist has hundreds of tracks that are in the graveyard. But you love mixing music, and other people should also stick to what they love to do. Yeah.
Exactly that. I mean, I that was my passion, making other people's records sound good. That was my forte, and production wasn't really something I enjoyed so much. You know, I produced music, but I found it stressful, to be honest, and a lot of producers find mixing stressful. So it's you know, you find your route and you go down whatever you enjoy. You know, you're gonna be successful at, hopefully.
Yeah. But yeah, it was great catching up with you today, Wes, and great and also very fun to just hang around here and listen to music and talk about the next steps for what we should do with Wez Clarke AI, because even though it's been around for almost a year now, we both know that we're far from finished in terms of what we can achieve with Wez Clarke AI and also AI mastering in general. So people should just try it out, and they can always do that on Masterchannel.ai for free.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll always be free to try, and it's exciting to see where it's going to go.
Yeah, I look forward to not only 65,000 but maybe 6.5 million someday using Wez Clarke AI.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, let's do that.
Perfect.